Okay, so tool number 6, looping. This can be used on any phrase that can be repeated in a loop. In other words, something like this. You can just play this over and over. So this is 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and what you can do with this is that since it's a loop and it just goes around and round, you can start at any point in the loop and let that be the starting note. So if we have these 4 notes, I mean we got 3 notes, but the loop has 4 notes before it goes back to the beginning again. So the first thing to do is to number the notes of the loop. And this is pretty easy because it just goes up and then down again. So it's pretty easy to keep that in your memory compared to if you have something like that, it might be a bit more tricky. But anyway, so we got these 4 notes, and the first thing we do is that we number them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the first variation or the original variation is just starting on the first note and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and a slight accent on the 1, and the 1 will always be on the downbeat, the 1 of the loop, that is. So you will always start the loop wherever you start the loop, whichever loop variation you're working on, it will always start on the beat. So that's the first one, and you slightly accent that with both hands, like we talked about in the accent video, and then you move on to the next note in the loop. So this is the second note. Now you want to go from the second note around to the second note again. So you go 2, 3, 4, 1, and then back to 2 again. Okay? And if you look at the original loop here, it started with a downstroke. So you want to keep that picking stroke intact. So in this case you will start this on an upstroke and still slightly accenting, but you start on the beat here, so it's okay. And then we go on to the next note in the loop, this the third note, and we go 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and this one starts on a downstroke. So and the last one starts on an upstroke, and we go 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you just listen to the sound of these when I play them, and remember that since it's a loop, it's essentially the same notes repeating over and over again. But since we're starting on a different note, and we're always starting on the beat, so the beat gets sort of turned around, so each variation sounds different as well and feels different, even though technically it's the same strokes and fingers playing the same thing. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, just listen to this. So the first variation. So that's basically how I would practice it. If I usually use this when I find something in a piece of music that I have a hard time playing. And let's say this is it, and I want to practice that extra and get some more good repetitions in, but I don't want to just play this one and try to overdo that. It's better to spread it out a bit, and since I'm basically working the same movements, but it's different for your mind, and you learn it better this way. So and also the accents gets turned around, and you get the accent with an upstroke, and all that kind of stuff adds up to the variations being more difficult to play actually. And the idea is to get every variation up to a decent tempo, not to equalize them so that each variation is as fast as every other one, because there's always going to be some patterns that are easier to play when it comes to this. So, and that depends on what you have practiced before and things like that. So, but the goal here is not to get every variation up to the same tempo, but to get every variation up to at least a decent flow, you know, and that you can play it without making mistakes. Maybe like and actually that would be enough, even though if the original would be, that doesn't really matter, because when you try this for the first time, you're probably going to find that some patterns are really hard to even just get through, and that's the thing, you know, that it sort of helps you see what you're working on from a different angle. And even though it should be as easy as the first one, it isn't. But if you can even it out a bit, it will really help the original pattern a lot, and your whole technique actually. So let's just apply this to another pattern. So let's take a 6-note pattern. So we have, so we got 7, 9, 10 on the D string and 7, 9, 10 on the G string. And this will be a 6-note pattern. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 6 variations in this case. So we'll start on the first one. So start on the second one, and I start on an upstroke. Next one on a downstroke. Next one on an upstroke. Next one on a downstroke. And the final one on an upstroke. So this is basically the way I use looping, and try it on something you've had problems with, and I can almost guarantee it that you'll find that one of these loop variations will be much harder than another one, and then you know what you need to practice more to get the other one up to speed. And this works on everything, so you can do legato patterns, sweeping, whatever. So it's the only thing you have to keep in mind when you play something that's not as straightforward as alternate picking. Let's say you have a sweeping pattern here. You got an A triad. You see the same D shape here, and just the 12th fret here, E. So we got E, C sharp, A, E. And the picking here, at least how I play it, is an upstroke, pull off, upstroke, and then down, 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 where the sweep is. So it's 6 notes before it repeats. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you want to loop this, the first loop is no problem, but the second one will actually start on a pull off. And in this case, I usually start on whatever pick stroke I find the most logical, because once I get back to this in the loop like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, then the loop will start with a pull off. And this is great, because it's really easy to sort of do the pull off too fast or too slow and things like that. So this technique really brings out any timing and synchronization go through the phrase note by note like this. And if you get confused on what pick stroke you should start with, or if it's a pull-off or whatever, just play the phrase from the beginning and see, okay, now we're on the third note, and let's see, so we got up, pull-off, up. Okay, I want to start this on an upstroke, so up, down, 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 up, pull-off, up. And keep going like that. So we got down, down again, and finally down again. So that's really the only thing you have to keep in mind when doing this, that when it involves pull-offs and stuff like that, you have to make sure that you use the correct pick stroke or technique, because otherwise you're just practicing something else and it won't help you that much.